Good morning. Today we'll discuss the formative elements of tragedy. As we have examined the definition, nature, and the function of tragedy, now we'll consider Aristotle's formative or constituent parts of the tragedy. Aristotle enumerates 6 formative elements of a tragedy, that is, number 1, plot, number 2, character, number 3, diction, number 4, thought, number 5, spectacle, and last, song. Two of these parts relate to the medium of imitation, one to the manner of imitation, and the other three to the objects of imitation. Song or the lyrical element is to be found in the choric parts of a tragedy. It is the embellishment spoken of earlier which distinguishes the tragedy from the epic. It is one of the sources of pleasure or of tragedy. The spectacle or the scenic effects have more to do with the view that the dramatist must depend for his effects on his own powers rather than on spectacle. Aristotle has written, quote, "Fear and pity can be produced by spectacular means, but it is much better to produce them by the way you write your play." Unquote. This is therefore one of those platitudes of Aristotle which human nature has always ignored, and the wisdom of which it has to learn again and again through experience. Thought is the power of saying whatever can be said or what is appropriate to the occasion. Thought is required where a statement is made or some statement is proved or disapproved. It is an intellectual element in a tragedy, and it is expressed through the speech of a character. This implies that only such speeches are significant as express the views and feelings of a character. This also brings out the importance of language or diction in a tragedy. It is the language which gives us the thought and feelings of the various dramatis personae, and it is through speech that their character is first revealed. And that is why the language of tragedy must also be unusually expressive. Aristotle discusses the question in quite a detail in all its aspects and is the first writer to emphasize the expressive value of metaphorical language. He considers the gift of metaphor as the greatest of all. Metaphor is the source of the beauty and vividness of language. Therefore, as a general rule, the language of tragedy must be clear and must not be mean. The language must be dignified and elevated. Then we come to the characterization in a tragedy. As regards the characterization, Aristotle has laid down 4 essential qualities. First is that the characters must be good. Second, that they must be appropriate. Number 3, they must have likeness. And fourth, they must have consistency. The characters should be good but not too good or perfect. There should be some wicked characters also if required by the plot, by which Aristotle means that with the introduction of evil and wickedness in the plays. By appropriateness, Aristotle means that they must be true to type, that is, they must have the characteristics which are common to the profession or the class to which they belong. Thus, a woman must be womanly and a slave should behave as slave. By likeness, Aristotle meant that either of two things. First, the characters must be lifelike, they must be the true representative of the human nature, or they must be like the traditional or historical personages on whom they are modeled and whose names they bear. Therefore, we can say that in tragedy, when he wants to say that when we are dealing with the life of King Oedipus, the character of Oedipus must have likeness to the traditional conception of his character. The characters must show a consistent development, and he should not be inconsistent throughout the play. There must be no sudden or unaccountable changes in his character. In whatever the character says or does, the demands of the necessity and probability must be met or satisfied. Then is the ideal tragic hero. Now, what does Aristotle say about the ideal tragic hero? Here also Aristotle lays down some considerations that the character or the tragic hero should neither be perfectly good nor utterly bad. He should be a man neither of blameless character nor a depraved villain. He should be a man of ordinary weaknesses and virtues, like other selves, leaning more to the side of good than of evil. He should be occupying a position of eminence and falling into ruin from that eminence, not because of any deliberate wickedness, but because of some error of judgment on his part. Therefore, in short, we can say he should be a man such as it is like to help the tragedy in performing its proper function, that is, bringing about the catharsis of emotions of pity and fear. Now is the plot. While all the 6 elements listed above are essential to tragedy and have always been employed by poets, the most important constituent of tragedy, according to Aristotle, is the plot. It is very soul of a tragedy. By plot, Aristotle means the arrangement of incidents, and tragedy is an imitation of actions, both external and internal. That is, it also imitates the mental processes of the dramatis personae. Aristotle has insisted that the tragic plot must have a beginning, a middle, and an end. He likens the plot of a tragedy to a living organism and says that it must be a complete whole like a living organism, and like it also of a certain magnitude or length. As in a living creature, all its parts must be properly related to each other, and the whole must be of an appropriate or reasonable size, neither too long or neither too short. It must have the unity of a living organism, such as in a living organism, every part is essential or necessary for its being. Aristotle dislikes episodic plots, that is, plots in which the various incidents are not casually related to each other. In his opinion, episodic plots are worst. In a successful plot, the various incidents are casually related to each other and are also probable and necessary under the circumstances. Aristotle has not also prescribed a mechanical formal kind of unity for tragedy. The comparison of tragedy to a living organism implies growth and vigor as well as lack of uniformity, for no two living organisms are same. A wide variety of incidents might befall on a single individual, and all of them cannot go into making of the plot. The artist must properly select and order his material and thus impart artistic unity to it. Thank you.